playing Minecraft today. Minecraft is a very fun game. I enjoy it much. Anyways, I like the Volvo 240 a lot. The Volvo 240 is my favorite car. I really want to get one, but I cannot find one in good condition. They're such a cool car. They're so slow, but they look very nice. I like the way they look because they're very square shaped, and that means you get the most out of the size of your car compared to a more modern car where it's a modern wagon. It's not square shaped. The top has like a slope to it, and I'm really not a fan of that feature within a car. I don't know why they keep doing it. I want a square shaped car. I don't give a shit about how bad my gas mileage is. I want to get the most out of the space within my car. Because why would you have the car be that shape? Because most things are not that shape. Most things are square shaped, and that's why the Volvo 240 is a perfect vehicle because it is that shape. It's the square shape, which is so desired by me. Now, I would love to get a Volvo 240, but the last Volvo 240 was made like 32 years ago, 31 years ago. So that makes it a little bit difficult to get one in good condition compared to a Volvo V70, which they stopped making very recently from what I'm aware of, or at least the type I want, is almost square, but it's not quite. It's like Volvo gave up on what made their cars good. They just gave up and they made a not square car, whereas the 240 is the perfect shape because it's square. It's beautiful. It's what a car should be. It's not what we want, it's what we deserve. Nobody actually deserved the Volvo 240. It's too good. And with the V70, the thing's too goddamn complicated. I don't know what they're doing with it because repair bills are expensive, parts are expensive, but the 240, the whole thing is simple, and that's a major advantage compared to something like the V70, which is much more complicated, and it has all this stupid fucking fancy suspension bullshit. And the V70R has this like really fast motor, which that's not why you're buying a Volvo. You're buying a Volvo for a boring car, not a fast car. So you should just give up already on getting a fast car out of a Volvo because it's not going to work well. And that's why more people like the 240 compared to the V70. Furthermore, Gustavo Fring drove a V70, and he's a drug lord. So that means the car is objectively worse than the 240. Now, I'd like to mention in the final episodes of Breaking Bad, Walter White drives a Volvo 240. It's a white 1992 Volvo 240, I think. And it's not the wagon version, it's a station wagon, which is the more common version compared to the wagon version, which I think is the best version because you're not using the space behind the trunk anyways, so why not make the trunk bigger and make the car safer? Which I don't see why anyone would dislike that. Whereas, like, the sedan version is imperfect compared to the wagon, which I would consider to be the perfect vehicle because it utilizes all the space given. You can't really get any more space out of that sucker. It's useful for hauling furniture. It's like a little truck. Although one disadvantage to the 240 is it's not very gas efficient compared to something like a Honda Insight, which is very gas efficient, which I think the Honda Insight is very strong in that factor of being gas efficient. And I think other cars should learn from the Honda Insight. But a disadvantage to the Honda Insight is it's incredibly unsafe compared to something like the Volvo 240, which is still known as a safe car, even though it's basically a car from the 60s because they built the same goddamn car for like 30 years and changed nothing. And I admire that about Volvo. They knew they made a good car and they stuck with it. Now, modern car brands, they just gave up on making cool looking cars. Now the cars are like boxy, but they look stupid. Look at the Cybertruck. You're using most of the space, but you're not getting that much space inside. It's useless. It's a useless vehicle. It's not even safe. If you're gonna get something boxy and cool, at least make it look cool and like actually work. Now, when the Volvo 240 stops working, an advantage to the 240 is the parts are very, very cheap. That's why I said I'm not as big as a fan of the V70 because it's kind of a money pit of a car where the 240, if something breaks, it's fucking cheap. You can just go buy another 240 They're that cheap. Just go buy another shitty 240 and then put the parts from that Volvo 240 onto the other one. And that's another advantage of the Volvo 240. Whereas the Cybertruck, you know, you have Elon Musk freaking out, wigging out all the time on Twitter, or Republican Twitter, or whatever he's on nowadays. And like nobody's controlling your Volvo 240 remotely. In the apocalypse, the 240 will be the only car that survives because it's the best car. Out of all the old cars on the road, the Volvo 240 is my favorite. One car I dislike from that era strongly. One car I incredibly dislike is the sedans from the 90s that are all bubbly. I'm not a huge fan of those. Some of them, like the little Ford compact things, I just don't think they look that good. Now, I think we need to bring back tail fins for cars. For some reason, we decided as a society that tail fins should not belong on cars, and we just gave up on having them, even though I think they look really cool. They're more aerodynamic, and if you're going to have, you know, a 40-ton, 40-foot-long car, you're going to make it look cool. Whereas nowadays, you have these giant SUVs, and they're giant, and they're not gas efficient, but they don't even look cool. They're just like, they look stupid. Whereas in the cars from the 50s, which were giant and unsafe, looked cool. So that way, when you crashed in a car from the 50s and you died, you looked cool when you were dead, compared to now, where if you're caught dead in a Cybertruck, you just look like a dweeb. That's another advantage to the 240. It's incredibly safe, and when it does break, you can fix it. A Cybertruck, you know, you got all these little electrical gremlins, which, you know, I don't get why any sane engineer would build this goddamn vehicle. It just doesn't make sense. It's not that strong. It's not useful as a truck. Whereas the Volvo 240 is more useful as a truck. More people use their Miatas as trucks than Cybertruck people use their truck as a truck. I dislike the Cybertruck. If there's one car I would not drive, it would be that. Now, if there was any car I could drive, I would drive the Group B Audi Quattro that Michelle Ton drove, because she's like really cool. And this car is also really cool because it's like really fast, and it drove on gravel, and there's people's fingers inside of it, probably. Anyways, I admire the Audi Quattro from the 80s. That's definitely one of my favorites. One of the cars I do not admire from the 80s is that one from that crazy person during the fuel crisis who sold a car made out of wood and wood glue, and it didn't actually drive. So that's one of my cars that I'm not a huge fan of due to the fact that it doesn't actually work. It's sort of like a modern day Cybertruck from the 80s. Whenever I see a Volvo 240 in a piece of media, it makes me really happy. For example, like I already mentioned this, but bear with me. When I saw the Volvo 240 in Breaking Bad, I thought that was kind of a really cool moment because I like the 240. Now, why would I want to get, besides all the reasons I mentioned, why would I want to get the sedan over the wagon? I would not. I want to get the wagon over the sedan. Compared to the V70 also. The normal V70, not the V70R or the XC70, which is the SUV all-wheel drive version. The normal V70 is rear-wheel drive. No, wait, it's front-wheel drive. The 240 is rear-wheel drive, which is really cool. But the V70 is a boring front-wheel drive car. And front-wheel drive cars are, like, really boring to drive, in my opinion. And I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of the modern V70 because it's like front-wheel drive, and that's really lame and boring to drive because it's a big car. You don't want a big front-wheel drive car, whereas like a Toyota Corolla, that's like a little car, so it doesn't really matter. In the Honda Insight, you really don't care about features. You're just going the mile for better gas mileage. Besides the Honda Insight, I think the Geo Metro would be a good contender for a car with high gas mileage because the things were light, they're dangerous, and you know, they have a motor in them, but that doesn't mean they're really going to go at any reasonable time from 0 to 60. The Geo Metro is probably the most piece of shit car ever, but it's admirable in the fact that no matter what, there's no Geo Metros that are in good condition. They all have like 250,000 miles on them, and are beat to shit, and they all cost like $500. I don't know if they spawned in this way, if they're built this way, but that's just a fact of life of how it is now. Whereas a lot of cars are kind of spawned in all crappy and don't really exist in a perfect form because nobody bothered to keep them nice. An example of that is the Volvo 240, which I'm having a really hard time. I want to get a Volvo 240 wagon in good condition. I'm having a really hard time finding one in good condition because they're all incredibly rough. I found one on Craigslist near Santa Barbara, which is like a 10-hour drive for me. I was going to do it for $10,000. It was first owner, wonderful condition, but somebody bought it, and that's kind of a bummer. The V70s, you can see them in much better condition. Huh? For much cheaper compared to the 240s. I don't know why people like the 240s. I think there's people like me who think the 240 is an admirable car to be driving around, especially since it gets like 20 miles a gallon and the motor makes like 100 horsepower, which I don't even know how the engineers down at Volvo managed to do that. But another reason that the Volvo 240 is pretty cool is it's a safe car for its time compared to other death traps of the 90s like the Geo Metro or the Honda Insight. The Volvo 240 was ahead of its time with safety features, although it was behind in time with stylization, which I really like about the 240. I love the retro look. It looks like the 80s, even though it's in the 90s. The headrests look sick. It's a very safe car. It was designed incredibly safely. For example, the engine mounts were designed so if you get in a car crash, the engine will brake and go under the car instead of impaling you. The same is designed with the steering column, where the steering column is designed to not impale you upon impact, unlike so many cars from the past. For example, one time I was working on this big old muscle car from the 70s in my auto class in high school. Teacher got fired, but he was chill. And this car was big, and there are these supports at the front, these two rods that helped stabilize the front frame. But the way they were designed, if you got in any sort of wreck, these rods would come through the dashboard and absolutely fucking impale you. So that's why even though older cars do look nice and you will be killed in style, it will be fast death. But in things like the Volvos, they're much safer, even though modern Volvos are kind of ugly and big. Now, one thing I do wish Volvo made was a microcar. During the 90s, they were researching making some sort of microcar out of plastic, but they ended up not doing it. A byproduct of this was the Volvo plastic bicycle, which is a bicycle that was made completely almost out of white plastic. And the thing looks fucking horrific, dude. It's incredibly ugly, incredibly heavy, but it's a unique bicycle. In fact, that it's made almost completely out of plastic, which is unheard of for bicycles, unless you're going to Walmart and buying a shitty bicycle. But then any Walmart bicycles aren't really trustworthy anyways, because they're from Walmart, and you can only really trust them so much. But the Volvo plastic bicycle, it's hard to find them nowadays because plastic does this thing where it breaks over time. It also gets yellow over time, so any of the white Volvo bicycles you'll find nowadays are likely to be yellowed, which is kind of too bad. I think they do look kind of cool in a way, even if they are ugly in every other factor. I think there's something admirable about Volvo's attempt to make a bicycle, even though they've never tried to make a bicycle before. I think that's an admirable thing to do. Now, the 240 is also incredible for other reasons, such as the fact as it has many seats. Now, although it may technically not have many seats, if you're brave enough, you can stick some of your friends back there and tell them to sit in there and like roll around. Now, in a normal car, you can't do that because there's shit in the way. But in the Volvo 240, once you fold down those seats in the back, it's almost like some sort of truck because it's just that good of a design compared to other stupid cars of the era. Now, one sad thing about station wagons in general is they've kind of died out. You have station wagons today, Volvo makes them, but there's the they are giant hunks. I don't know what happened to cars. They're all gigantic. The smallest truck you can get is the Ford Maverick, and that still is like twice the size of a Ford Ranger from the 90s. Ford Rangers, I dislike them strongly. They're not bad trucks. I don't like them. I think they're cool, but I don't know. They piss me off. I'm never gonna buy a Ford Ranger. I just don't like them. I would buy a Volvo 240 though. That's what this video is about. But I so dislike modern SUVs because everybody's buying an SUV instead of a sedan or a truck, and all the trucks are gigantic. And I'm like 5'10", 5'11" on a good day, and these trucks almost tower over me, which is concerning because um, how are you supposed to see the road if your truck is literally like 8 feet high, and then you have these people with their stupid little lifted trucks, and they have these stupid little rubber band tires, and I think they look cool, but they actually look really, really lame. I hope they know that. I hope they know their trucks look stupid, because they look really, really stupid. Because they're lifted up, they have these skinny little suspensions. Why would you lift your truck if you can't take it off-roading? You can lift your truck and have it look good, but if you lift your truck and put the skinny little rubber band tires on it where it's all rim, no tire, it's not going to be a comfortable ride. It's going to break. It's not reliable. People want a lot of money for these trucks, even though they're incredibly ugly, and I think they should all be burned. What's worse than lifted trucks is half-lifted trucks. They're known by another name. They're called squatted trucks. I hate squatted trucks. They're gayer than a pride parade. Gayer than a pride parade. Because they're just useless as trucks. How are you supposed to use a truck when the truck bed is at chest level of me, and I think my height is at least average. So if I'm average and I can't put something into the bed of this truck without a stepladder, then how are you supposed to use this truck like a regular person? And there's that guy on Instagram. He's very short, but he has these big lifted trucks. I hate his trucks. They're stupid. They have the little rubber band tires. And then there's that other guy on Instagram. He's the white privilege truck. And it's funny because he's black, but I incredibly dislike that truck because it's lifted and useless as a truck. You know it is useful as a truck? A Ford Ranger. Even though I dislike them, they're convenient, they're small. That's what a truck should be. It should be a useful tool, not a little lifted weird thing. I think we should blow up all these lifted trucks. If we ban them, I would not mind that. When I got the chance to go to the Grand Canyon, it was beautiful. It started snowing, so you know it wasn't very grand because I just saw fog. But besides that, it was beautiful. But in the parking lot on the way there, I saw this dually. It was lifted, incredibly huge truck, and it was fucking stupid because you can't even use these goddamn trucks for towing anything because they're not good at towing stuff. If the tow hitch is at chest level because you lifted the stupid fucking truck. And sometimes I'll see these trucks and they'll have like this extender for the tow hitch to be leveled down to normal height for a normal trailer, and you wouldn't have that problem if you just used your truck like a normal fucking person. But these people, they lift their trucks and it's ugly. I'm not a huge fan of these trucks. I would like to see a lifted Volvo 240. You can lift your car and have it look good, like Marty McFly's little Toyota in Back to the Future. I think that looks cool. I really like these Toyota trucks. But the problem is when I go onto Facebook Marketplace, all these Toyota trucks are like more than a new car. People are asking like $20,000 for something that looks like it came out of a junkyard. And these people are crazy on Facebook Marketplace. They want $20,000 for cars that don't run. They're just insane. I don't see the point. Why would I buy a car for $10,000 that runs rough? I saw a guy listed a Volvo 240. He listed a sedan, not even a station wagon. He wanted $17,000 for it, and he said it ran rough and wasn't in good condition. Why would you sell a car that's not rare and also in really bad condition for $17,000? But that $10,000 Volvo is golden. It was very pretty, and it looked mint. It looked new, and they only wanted $10,000, whereas this person wants $17,000 for a crappy car. Also, there's none of these damn things around. If I do end up getting a Volvo 240, I'll let you guys know. But it's gonna be like I'm gonna have to drive out of state or something to get one of these things because apparently they're kind of rare. That's one reason why I like going to the airport. I've been to the airport a couple times, the San Francisco airport, to go on vacation or whatever. It's really great when I get to fly in airplanes because it's cool. But when you're at the airport, you see all these rare cars. One time, in a handicap spot towards the front of the lot that we were parked in, I saw a dark red, like a burgundy Volvo 240 wagon, and it looked like late 80s model, maybe 1988. It was incredibly pretty. I just like the Volvo 240 so much. There was one in Oregon that sold for $6,000 that I thought looked really nice. It's from a dealership. It was a dark blue color and had these nice looking rims. I think it looked nice. I don't get when people put rims on their cars. That looks stupid. Why would you do that? I just don't understand it. Why would you do that when you could not do that? Because if you're gonna put rims on your car, you might as well put car rims that look nice. Another car that I think looks nice is the Porsche 944. It's from the 80s. Looks kind of like the Corvette. I think it looks sick. I think the best looking car known to man besides the Volvo 240, 1993 Volvo 240, is the 1984 C4 Corvette. I think that's the best looking car ever. Or that Ferrari from the 80s also. Or the Lamborghini Countach. But the C4 1984 Corvette has a digital dashboard and it embodies the 80s. It's the best looking car ever, honestly. Although it's mechanically not very good from what I've read, I still think it's a beautiful car. We need to bring back these retro digital dashboards in cars because they're pretty cool. I also like Hyundai. They made this cool concept car that looks like it's from the 80s. It's like a hydrogen car or something. Not the race car one, the other one. It's like a looks like a mafia sedan. And I think that's important to have cool looking cars because the inside of this thing was sleek. I'm not a huge fan of electric cars. I think they don't make sense right now, but I thought this Hyundai looked really cool. If I had the money and they released it, I would buy one, but it's probably going to be like an $80,000 car. You can't get affordable cars anymore, and you cannot get little ones, which is too bad. The smallest car in America is a Mitsubishi Mirage. I know this because I Googled it. It's also the cheapest new car in America, I think. Um, it's pretty cheap. You can get one new for like 16,000, I think. And they're known as miserable cars, sort of like a successor to the Toyota Echo, which is similar to the Geo Metro in the fact that it's really small and basically a death trap. But the advantage is it's small, so it gets good gas mileage, and it only has like 70 horsepower, I think. Now, I think the two-door Toyota Echo is quite a cute vehicle, and that's on my list of cars I would like. So I should check the prices on those. They're all incredibly cheap. I've not seen a Toyota Echo for sale for over $2,500. And the nice thing about the Toyota Echo is if it breaks, you can just buy another one. Instead of buying one new car, you could buy 40 Toyota Echoes and have cash to spare because they're just that cheap. Nobody likes them. I don't know why. I think they're kind of cute little cars. You can get them in manual, and I think they're adorable. They're like little beep beep cars. That's one thing I like about the Miata. They're small, they're adorable. People want a lot of money for their Miatas. I don't know if they're sought after. Maybe Miata is secretly making these things because every car enthusiast on the planet seems to have one. But they're really cute. I think the pop-up headlights are adorable. I don't know why they removed those for cars because you have pedestrian safety, but then you have the Cybertruck, which is not safe in any shape or form. I don't get why people are like, yeah, Cybertruck, because if you get in a car crash, you're gonna fucking die. It's like a modern car from the 70s. What else is like an old car reimagined in a modern way is the Dodge Charger. Now the faster Dodge Chargers, I don't think are that nice because they have these little stupid rims, they're not comfortable. But the base level rear wheel drive Dodge Charger is the closest you're gonna get to a modern muscle car because it has these thick meaty tires, it's rear wheel drive. It's pretty simple, you don't got a lot of buttons on the dashboard. It's pretty cool. Little fun sporty car to drive around. It's not little, it's very heavy. But I think it's kind of the reincarnation of the modern American muscle car. And I think it's kind of a good looking car. I like it. I would definitely get one, but people seem to tear ass around in their Dodge Chargers for some reason. Earlier today, I walked down to my local CVS and I saw a car drive by, or I heard it first, actually. I thought some construction was happening because I heard a loud metal scraping on the ground. And when it drove by, it was actually a old Honda Civic. And it looked like the fucking front subframe exploded or something, because there's a shit ton of metal dragging on the ground. I don't know if they took a jump and thought their car was a pre-runner secretly, but dude, their car looked fucked up at the bottom. It looked like shit was hanging off. It wasn't just the skid plate, maybe there were suspension bits. I don't know. I don't even know how that car was driving. But it was incredibly noisy. I plugged my ears as it drove by. Everybody in the neighborhood heard it. I don't know what's up with that car, but the guy didn't even stop either. I think the guy driving that car maybe was deaf or something, but I think he should be aware that his car is fucked up because it's not good to be driving your car if it's fucked up. He's also going to fuck up the roads, and that's a pain in the ass. I don't want my roads fucked up because I have to drive on those shit. I know taxes are supposed to pay for your roads, but some of these roads are like, I feel like I'm driving around in a third world country. It's just, not great. Not a great experience. For one of them, for one of the roads, for example, is an off-ramp to the freeway, and there's a blind merger. You have to look over your shoulder. There's a lot of those where I live, but the road is so bumpy, you feel like you're driving on a dirt path. I've ridden on smoother dirt paths than that road. I'm not a huge fan of it. But yeah, I should get a Toyota Echo because nobody has 240s in existence near me, but there's lots of Toyota Echoes, and where the V70s, although they're fast, I'd be worried about the repair bill. And that's why I like the Toyota Echoes, because they're kind of cute little vehicles compared to other cars which are scary and mean. But the Toyota Echo, they got something going on there. It's kind of funky. It's cute. The Yaris is like a bigger Toyota Echo. I like the two-door Toyota Echo. I'd get one of those suckers if I could. I just I just think they're cool. I don't know. I just like them. Just like them.